What's up, friends, and welcome in. It is leading off right here on Fantasy Pros. I am your host, Chris Welsh. That right there, that's the Bubba, Casey Bubba in the house on Twitter at BDNtrick. You can find me on Twitter at Is It The Welsh. And Bubba, it's ship time. We're pirates. We are pirating the ship called Championship. How we doing, my friend?
Good, my friend. It's fun to be back on a Tuesday with you. And yeah, we're getting close to the end here. Your head-to-head leagues, it's championship week. Roto leagues, you have like 2 weeks left, give or take. It's go time. It's a lot of fun, and it's kind of nice to be getting toward the end, but also kind of thinks knowing as baseball fans it's towards the end. So yeah, good times.
I felt like you were going to jump into Wellerman. Like, there once was a ship that put to sea. The
I almost
name
went,
of the
yo,
ship
ho,
was
ho,
Lazy.
ho, a pirate's life
No,
for me.
do you know the Wellerman?
Yeah.
The Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea. I thought that's where we were gonna go for the
I
champion.
leave all the antics to you. You have your tiara and stuff. I'll just kind of follow the ship.
Yeah,
You see what I
Right
did
here,
there? I'm here all
right
day.
there.
I'm here
The
all
only
day.
pirate on my ship roster is O'Neill Cruz. That's right. Well, we're here for you.
The only
guys.
man that can strike out almost 41% of the time, hit 272 with 8 home runs. It's amazing.
But can hit a ball 120,000 miles per hour. You see that go? You know what? Here's the stat I'm waiting for. This is gonna kill me. This will be my favorite thing of all time. Is when, and I'm telling you, this is gonna happen. And when it happens, think of me. Someone is going to break down what the exit velocity of an O'Neill Cruz hit would be on like Mars or the moon. And they'll be like, technically, with with no atmosphere in this, it would travel 12,000 feet. There's going to be some lunar space calculation to O'Neill Cruz, and that will be the day that I just put it all aside.
He's
I
like the uncle.
retire
He's like
and
the
walk
uncle.
into
He's like the
sun.
Uncle Rico of baseball. He just does amazing
Yeah.
things that no one can predict. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. But we are.
Yeah.
Dr. Glenn, thank you. You're on it.
Thank you.
Give
You're
me
just the
some
man.
moon calculations of O'Neill Cruz, please. But I've got more complaining to do. And I think I'm definitely gonna annoy the old hats in the chat or listening to the podcast because Max Scherzer hurled 6 perfect innings yesterday. Yes, 6 in a victory over the Brewers. They pulled him after 68 pitches. We've done this dance before. This is my opinion. Have your opinion. I think this is the dumbest thing that exists in baseball, and I hate it, and I don't care about the excuse. I don't care about returning from injury. I don't care about saving the guy. I don't care about any of it. Pulling a player when they have a perfect game is crazy on all levels to me, Bubba. I don't know how you feel about this.
It's kind of mixed because it's his first start back from the IL. He's a rehab start for 3 2/3 innings. It's Max Scherzer though. Like I figured, if Max is back, Max is back. We're not placating this one. The only thing I can think of, they clinched the playoffs last night. They did that whole dance. If you saw, Big Pete Alonso, he was pelvic thrusting his mates. It was pretty entertaining. But when it comes to Scherzer, my only guess is that Scherzer gave the approval to come out because no one has the cojones to take him out. I'm going to say that much. So I put this one on Scherzer.
Yeah, I just don't care about any. I mean, like, I love you guys, but I just don't care. I don't care about playoffs matter more. I don't care. I don't care about any.
Yeah, but you're a Diamondbacks fan. You don't know what the playoffs are really like that much.
No, I don't. But I also know there's been 23 perfect games in the history of baseball. Like, I get pissy about the no hitter stuff, but in my pissiness, like, I know, like, in the back of my head, it's like I was at, I think it was opening day. Yu Darvish had 6 no-hit innings on the Diamondbacks, and they pulled him because he was like walking 3 and he had a bunch of pitches, and it's an opening week, and I still think it's kind of dumb, but whatever. But like in the back of my head, I know it, but I'm like, this is stupid. They got a no-hitter. A perfect game is something completely different, and I can't fathom it. So I even pulled this up here.
Ouch. I throw
100%.
one slide at your Diamondbacks, and here I'm Bogman now. Here we go.
No, 100%. 100%. I'm gonna start muting people in the chat, by the way.
I love the
for all
chat. The
you
chat's
guys.
on fire right now, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I knew, and like I said, when I said old hats, I knew exactly the people that were going to start complaining and bitching about it. But listen, it's a perfect game. I don't care at this part of the year. It's also Scherzer. My logic for the prop yesterday was sound. It was, what was it, 4.5, 5.5? It was some stupid number with Scherzer, and it's like, listen, the guy, if he can get through the 3rd inning, he's probably going to get this. He did. He had 9 strikeouts. But a perfect game is something special, regardless of playoff runs. This isn't also a pitcher that casually breaks down. Like, I know Max is breaking down a little bit more, but this isn't the same as a lot of these other guys. This isn't a young reliever that hasn't had a whole lot of experience. This isn't Steven Strasburg. This isn't Clayton Kershaw. This is Max Scherzer. And there's perfect game line.
He broke down in the playoffs the last 2 years.
Yeah, well, I still want this perfect game. Here's what I've got for you. Since like 1986, because there was one in 86. So since then, here are the perfect games that were pulled. I mean, obviously you have less of an issue than I do, but tell me, if there's anything to these. In 2015, right around this date, by the way, almost a year, what would that be? 7 years to the date, September 22nd, Daniel Norris had a perfect game going through 5, and then he was pulled. Trying to see if it had the pitch count on it. He was coming off of a DL, as we would call it. They had set him to a 65 pitch limit. They pulled him at 63. Daniel Norris is different than Max Scherzer.
Yeah,
right? Okay, we agree with that. All right, cool. Next one. In 2016, Rich Hill was pulled on September 10th. Again, September trend here. He went 7, struck out 9, and it's just Rich Hill. They had pulled him. Dodgers were up 5-0. You are 6 outs away from a perfect game. Crazy. Dave Roberts is the biggest culprit of this, by the way. In August, the Rays pulled Blake Snell. He went 5 perfect innings, struck out 6. This was in 2018. You've got Max Kranick in 2021, who had 5 innings, struck out 3 against the Cardinals, and then he was pulled, and he did not get the complete one. Tanner Houck, you've got 5 innings, struck out 8 on October 2nd, 2021. And then, most recently, Clayton Kershaw, 7 innings, 13 strikeouts, perfect game, April 13th at the beginning of the year.
That was tough.
So obviously, there's always a storyline to these. But when I look at this, it's like, what do you have? You have a bunch of young, inexperienced pitchers, and then you've got Kershaw, Rich Hill. I mean, you've got the Rich Hill who's perpetually injured. You've got Clayton Kershaw who's relatively perpetually injured. And then you have just a bunch of broken down young pitchers. I just don't care. I think it's crazy that this still goes on, especially a perfect game. But that's just me, and you old hats can sit there and have fun and complain about the playoffs. And
you want a hug?
Talk about the perfect
do you
game.
need a hug?
I'm not a Mets fan. I can't believe it. I still can't believe this, especially that instance of 68 pitches in September. Max Scherzer, I don't know, pitch to contact. You give it up, you immediately pull him. We'll all be good, Bubba. We'll all be good. But no perfect game for us, so we can just complain about it instead of celebrate it.
There you go. Yeah, that's what we do in September baseball.
That's right. Astros clinch the AL West for the 5th time in 6 years. Astros still quite something, my friend.
Yeah, they are fuego. They've had this one wrapped up almost as long as the Dodgers. It's just ridiculous how good they are, and they actually seem like they're better this year, which feels really weird. Like, they are really freaky good.
Yeah, you guys are killing me in the chat. Dr. Glenn.
I love the chat. The chat's amazing.
Yeah, no, Dr. Glenn.
Oh, Dr. Glenn.
Dr. Glenn's my buddy. He's my only buddy in this chat.
It wouldn't be a Tuesday if we weren't talking about Ohtani versus Judge for the MVP. Let's do it. Just throw the script out the window.
The one thing I appreciate is Wonky's got my back on these. Like,
of course.
Like, oh, manager. I don't care what the manager's saying. I don't care about any of that stuff. I care about seeing a perfect game with one of the real pitchers of our time.
The real question: what would the fan have done sitting behind Tony La Russa that made the calls for the White Sox? That's the question.
Yeah,
and we're talking about managers. Like, the real manager sits behind La Russa, like a puppet master. So what would he have done?
I actually think it would have been great if the White Sox would have done if they would have let that guy be like manager for a day, since they're going through all their managerial issues. I think that would have been great. Speaking of Clayton Kershaw, we brought up. Clayton Kershaw struck out 10 over 6 innings of one-run baseball Monday to get a win against the Diamondbacks. Kershaw has been pretty good. Pete Alonso hit a 3-run homer and stole a base on Monday. That's a combo meal in a victory over the Brewers. How about this? Logan Gilbert struck out a career-high 11 over 6 frames, 1-run ball on Monday as the Mariners go to a 9-1 victory over the Angels. And Logan Gilbert, he had his bumps in the middle of the year, but has just been, I think, a completely underrated pitcher all season long.
Yeah, over the last, I'd say 4 or 5 starts, he's looked like an absolute ace out there right now, and it's pretty crazy looking at Seattle. They got Gilbert, they got Kirby. It's pretty crazy what they're doing. Yeah, Gilbert has allowed 1 run or less in 4 straight, 2 run or less in 6 straight. He's striking out the world, so he's locked in right now.
Yeah. By the way, Sandy Alcantara can have 5 complete games in a season and go, but Max Scherzer can't go to 100 pitches for a perfect game. Gotcha.
Oh, this is good. This is good.
Ahmed Rosario. Oh, Ahmed Rosario. Let's wait to rile me up. 2 for 4 with a 3-run homer, 2 stolen bases on Monday as the Guardians won 11-4. I think Wonky put that on just because of my early predictions of Ahmed Rosario, which has just been, he just wasn't great. He's just fine. Totally fine. On the injury front, Carlos Rodon, next start been pushed back to Friday against Arizona. Bubba, Carlos Rodon, blister issues. It's not the normal things that we worry about with Rodon. Any concerns in championship week moving forward?
I would be if you're for fantasy reasons. The Giants have no reason to throw him out there because they're not good. But blisters, we don't know how this goes. He might feel like he's healed and it could pop up an inning later. So it's a concerning situation for sure.
Yeah, Mackenzie Gore is scheduled to throw a bullpen session on Tuesday. I see Roto World keep posting about it. I'm not even sure why we care at this point.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't get it
He's
either.
going to come back. He's going to be relieved. There's no fantasy impact to it, but he is going to be coming back. There is some fantasy impact to Ryan Nelson, who's expected to make his next start this weekend against the Giants. He wasn't that great against San Diego, but he also just didn't get blown up. He's really controlled himself. He didn't get a lot of swing and misses. He's going to be found out a little bit more, but I actually kind of like this start. Do you like this start for Ryan Nelson this weekend?
I love it. Pick on the Giants all you can. There's a lot of swing and miss in that lineup, so they'll have like one hot game a week. Other than that, just enjoy yourselves.
Outside of the thorough Estrada, he's like the guy, but outside of Estrada, there's a lot of pick on
messy.
to be had. Yeah. John Heyman, the New York Post reports an MRI on Frankie Montas' right shoulder didn't reveal any major structural damage, but probably one of those things that you can kiss him goodbye. See ya. Not going to do anything for you for this week or through the end of exactly. You can just move on. David Bednar had a scoreless inning on Monday in a minor league rehab appearance for AAA. Should return to the Pirates later this week. Maybe a last-minute save. I mean, if you got him for the weekend, you might be able to pull out a last save or two if he's sitting on the wire. Roto guy's probably going to drop whatever fab you might potentially have left just to maybe pick up a save or two on the back end of the year. It's still the Pirates, though, which is a little bit of a problem. But
4 wins, how many saves? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, are you optimistic that we can get anything out of Bednar?
Yeah, the biggest thing with him is unlike some of these other speculative guys, he's going to get you strikeouts and ratios, which might help now. It's kind of tough, but it might help you. You want the saves, obviously, but he'll get the work. And when they pitched him, it was always like 2 innings, it felt like. So he might even get a sneak in a win for you. So I like him. And
then Blake Trinan on track for activation when first eligible on Thursday. So keep an eye on that as we talk about all those guys. This is interesting that Wonky put on here. WAR leaders through September 20th on the year. So we'll go positional stuff. In the NL leader is Paul Goldschmidt with 7.6. The person behind him is a Cardinal at 7.5. And the person behind him is another Cardinal at 6.5, Tommy Edman. Cardinals are all right. Cardinals did themselves pretty well.
They don't stink.
Remember when they were going to get Juan Soto and it didn't happen?
Thank goodness.
They just made 2 amazing moves for low-end pitchers of Montgomery and Quintana, and then they just continue to win. Can you believe that? I mean, again, I would ask this question if someone stat. Dr. Glenn's looking up and doing the calculations for all of my moon stuff. I need someone else to look. When is the last time you've had 3 players on one team be the consecutive leaders in WAR in their division of NL or AL? Has that ever happened before?
I doubt it. It's a pretty crazy run that they got going on there, and they're just loaded from top to bottom. I bet you even Brendan Donovan's got like a 3-something WAR. Like he's been productive out of nowhere. They've got a very good team that is scary to face in the postseason.
That lead, like that run is just insane to me when I look at that. Like 3 Cardinals in there, but none in the 8 marker because eating into each other. On the AL positional players, would you look at this? Didn't Jim's ask for this earlier? We're not going to do the debate, but as far as AL position players go, and this is position players, Aaron Judge with a 9.6 WAR, the highest of any player, but number 2, 8.7, Shohei Ohtani, who's 2 players. And also
does that count his pitching and hitting WAR, or just his hitting WAR?
That's a great question. That's what I'm curious about. Let me take a look and see if
because I think it's just hitting, but I might be wrong.
I feel like that's going to be the combo, but let's take a look here. WAR, yeah, well, because now I'm looking at this and it actually says Judge is at 10.4 WAR on updated, and then this is on Fangraphs. I don't see Ohtani. Is Ohtani only under pitchers?
Probably.
which
They
is stupid.
discriminate.
Yeah, well, I mean, why not show us both on those? Let's see.
Makes
Let's do
sense.
this real quick. If I can get this to go. Pitching. So 10.4 for Judge. And then on the pitching side, update. Why is it taking so long? No, for whatever reason, Otani is just not on here. Is he not meeting like a qualification?
Let
or
me find it
something?
for you. Tell Paul Sporer to get his stuff together over there and figure it out.
Yeah,
Stop
I don't
playing
understand.
Twitch. Get off of Twitch and get your website figured out.
You're going to talk about old hat there,
Yeah,
Bubba. Is that-
yeah. I'll be here all day.
Yeah,
Don't you worry about.
yeah, I just don't see it on here, maybe because it
I'll
is
find
combined.
something.
It is someone said it is combined, but I wonder if he moved up a little bit. But you've already got Judge over 10, which is ridiculous number. On the NL side, going back over to pitchers, a huge discrepancy on WAR versus pitchers because Sandy Alcantara, who I think I said in the other show or one of the shows earlier in the week, is the absolute favorite of the Cy Youngs, more than Justin Verlander was in the AL, minus 400. And then the next person, I think Fried was like, plus 500 or something. Alcantara has a 7.4 WAR compared to number 2, which was Max Fried with a 5.7 and Aaron Nola with a 5.1. So there's a huge gap between pitchers, and talk about value. And what that also tells an interesting story on the AL side, where there's been plenty of case being made about Dylan Cease winning the Cy Young. The gap is much smaller. And Dylan Cease has a higher WAR than Verlander this year, 5.7 to 5.1. So the lowest WAR of anybody on this list is Verlander and Nola as far as the leaders go, and they're tied. Do you have any stake or any opinion on the Verlander versus Cease AL Cy Young?
I'm kind of biased on Verlander. I'm really, really impressed with what he's done, and he's even missed some time, so it might hurt him a bit. But I like Verlander, but you can't go wrong with Cease. He was dominant like for about 10, 12 straight starts. Like, where's Framber Valdez in this conversation? Dude's got like 24 straight quality starts. The dude's got a
25.
G.
25.
25 now, yeah. Where's he at?
That's an insane marker. Framber Valdez, it only shows a 4 point. I don't even know how it's possible, but a 4.2 WAR
That's wrong.
according to Fangraphs, which is the 12th highest of any pitcher.
I demand a recount.
Yeah, Cease is actually, so there's some updated numbers here. Cease is 4.4 in the AL, and now Verlander's up to 5.1. Again, I don't know if there's different calculations being done here, but Verlander's a bit above him now, 5.1 versus Cease's 4.4. But interestingly enough, a higher WAR in the AL is Kevin Gossman. Kevin Gossman, a 5.2. But if you're looking at like a WAR season versus WAR, I think that's what makes it.
But really, really Welsh war, what is it good for?
Huh.
I had to. I've been saving that one the whole time.
Say it again now. A lot of singing today, which you guys know I'm all about. Stat leaders. Let's go through who was doing it yesterday. Carlos Santana, 2 for 5, 2 homers, 2 runs, 5 RBI. We talked about Ahmed Rosario, who had a combo meal with a couple stolen bases, much needed in your fantasy playoff run. Ty France had a homer, going 2 for 4 with 4 RBI. So a lot of talk about like, hey, we need Mariners production in other spots, especially with Eugenio Suarez hurt and Julio's been banged up. They're getting it. Josh Naylor had a homer. Jose Altuve, 2 for 4 with a home run. John Birdie, 2 stolen bases with a homer. There's a combo meal. Brian De La Cruz had a home run, 4 RBI. Boy, Austin Riley had a bomb. And Thairo Estrada, homer, double, 3 runs, 3 RBI. Do you think Estrada is going to be a player that's going to be able to maintain value for next year, where we're going to be unanimously drafting him? Because he has had quietly such a great, he actually reminds me of, he kind of reminds me of like Nico Horner. And like Nico Horner's had this like really quiet year where he had homers and he's had a lot of stolen bases. He's closing in on 20 stolen bases. Estrada's not like that, but I feel like a lot of quiet production where we're going to look back and we're going to be like, are we really drafting Estrada around 150? But position eligibility and everything, I think it might be on the table.
Definitely. The eligibility is going to be clutch. He's even, I think, gaining outfield eligibility now with the Giants moving things around. And he just brings a power speed combo that's been that's just clutch on almost all fantasy teams. Like Chris Taylor has roles. Like there's a lot of Chris Taylor in there. The batting average might not meet up, but a lot of things you're looking for in that power speed that he will produce. And really the Giants, unless they really want to do a full rebuild, which they're slowly rebuilding, there's no reason why he shouldn't be a part of that next year for sure. So I like him quite a bit.
I remember watching him in the AFL too in like 2017 or 18 when he was a Yankees prospect. He is on Yahoo's algorithm inside the top 100. 14 homers, 19 stolen bases. I mean, that is full-time gig, and he's currently qualifying second short and outfield and hitting in predominant spots of the lineup too. I mean, unless the Giants go make huge, crazy splashes and change out the roster, there's no reason he's not going to be playing in the infield, in the middle infield. And he's been hitting. I mean, last 4 days he's hit one or two or I guess in the last 3 games, which he has hits all in. So maybe putting him at the top of the lineup. He's just one of those guys. He's handful of those barely drafted players and the McCarthys and the Estradas, even the Nico Horners that have like saved seasons, which is really incredible.
Yeah. Very productive.
Pitchers, Max Scherzer, 6 perfect
What
innings,
could have been?
9 strikeouts. Yep, could have been. And then on the bench and 1 benching. Tyler Alexander, 7 innings, 4 strikeouts, had a couple walks. Logan Gilbert struck out those 11. Kershaw struck out those 10. And Luis Garcia went 5, struck out 4, only gave up 2 hits. So a lot of performances there, but we don't need to talk about them. On the hitter side, there was a note. There were a bunch of guys that struck out a lot, but I can't find the list on Baseball Reference for the stat zeros. There were a lot of strikeouts, and that's okay. On the pitcher front, though, Jakob Jonas, who I call him, Jacob Jonas, 4 1/3, gave up 5 earned runs, 12 hits. Wade Miley gave up 3 earned runs, 7 hits, only 3 innings. Sonny Gray, oh man. I always want to like Sonny Gray starts.
Yep.
He gave up 4 earned runs and 2. Tyler Wells gave up 5 earned. Corey Abbott gave up 4 earned. I feel like every time I see Sonny Wells like on the docket and his like props are like 4.5 strikeouts or something like that, I just get jazzed up, and then Sonny will just have one of these games.
Yep. I usually just avoid now. It's like you see the great games, and then like you said, when you buy in, it just blows up in your face. There's no consistency. Plus, he hurt his hamstring yesterday, so who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, 100%. Over on the home run calls, Cat Fox has pulled a little bit away on a lead with a Austin Riley homer yesterday. So the home run contest is now sitting at 55 for the leader, who is Cat Fox. Number 2 is Elskell, who had CJ Cron yesterday, did not go, with 53. We got a couple 52s who also had Riley, Helpless in Miami, and High Cubby, and 150 at D-Blum. So we have got 5 people. 5 people who have hit the 50 home run marker, and that is where the contest is going into the final, whatever it is, 7-8 days that we've got left, or maybe a couple more, because I think it goes to like October 2nd or whatever. But the home run contest is coming down to the wire, and Cat Fox has got the lead. So very, very good stuff, and hopefully that we are going to be able to hopefully we'll be able to get some graphics next week. And also a reminder for everybody, the winner of the home run contest is going to receive a signed Fernando Tatis Jr. jersey. So there you go.
It might be a collector's item, folks.
Might be a collector's item. Exactly. I mean,
antique.
This year, this sounded amazing. I got to tell you personally, I still think this is incredible. I think Tatis, in a lot of the lying that I do believe, me personally, that went on and is part of it, I believe he will come back and he will be insane. And he's going to be back to being one of the faces of baseball. There'll be a whole retribution thing that'll go on, but that is an incredibly cool prize, and the winner for the home run contest will win that Tatis Jr. signed jersey, courtesy of Fantasy Pros. That is very, very cool. Bubba, it is time that we go and talk about BetMGM, and there will be no crown today. I'm angry with the perfect game. There will be no crown, especially the chat did not have my back, so you get no crown today whatsoever, but you can have a $1,000 risk-free first bet with BetMGM if you use the promo code leading off. Just go download the app, beep, boop, beep, download it, put in your stuff. You guys can rock it. You can set it up, use the promo code leading off. They will give you extra things. Like a $1,000 risk-free bet would be amazing. First time people, just go and hook it up today. You can make some bets. I actually made some bets today on the baseball front, because the number one bet that was out there is my favorite, but I got juiced up. So I did put it with something because I just didn't want to pay that crazy amount. But the number one bet of the day is Shane McClanahan at 4.5 strikeouts. 4.5 strikeouts versus Houston, projected at 6.5. The juice on Betting Pros, it's probably still there, by the way. It shows 140. It's not. It's 160. It's minus 160 on DraftKings, which is a pretty hefty amount. You could still bet it, I suppose, but I decided to put it together, if you guys even care. I put it with Nick Lodolo, who's an absolute strikeout machine. I put Lodolo and McClanahan together in a little strikeout prop for the day that I'm going to be paying attention to. But McClanahan at 4.5 strikeouts on DK is tasty. If you want a plus play, You got Adam Wainwright, which I also really like this
Yeah.
play. 3.5 strikeouts is the number. He's projected at 4 versus San Diego, who loves to swing and miss. On the hitting side, Jake Fraley is the number one total base prop at 1. You just need 1, so it's a half. He's projected over 2. It's minus 160 on DK, and the plus money play is Chris Morel with the Cubs. You just need 1. It's plus 105. That's against Miami. Some pretty good plays as far as how I calculate these, Bubba. What do you like out of this list?
Yeah, usually it's only like 1 or 2 that I might like. I like all 4 of these, to be honest, but Shane O'Mac is the one to go to. That's a phenomenal price, even at minus 160. I think that's a really, really good one. I don't mind pairing it even with Wainwright's and getting some really nice money out of that, because I think Waino should be good for 4+.
I thought about that. Actually, I immediately, when I saw the McClanahan one, I went and looked on DK, and I saw the juice went up, and then I saw Lodolo was going. I'm like, oh, I love this. But then when I did, then I stopped everything, and then I came back to do the rest of my stuff. When I saw Wainwright, I was like, I kind of like the Wainwright one with McClanahan as well. I think that's a good one. I will tell you this. I bet that if you wait too long, this will move to 5.5. I still like it. But it's just, it's just going to be this one will go up, because what they're doing, they're juicing it down. Then they're going to pop it back up 1, and they're going to give you better odds, which it's totally fine. I'm probably still taking it. He was kind of capped on pitches, and his start back, I think it was around 60 something. We get probably back up into the 80s. I don't think they're going to let him go 100, but the 4.5 is just such a low number. I like the Wainwright one. Did you like either of the Fraley or Morel, or just eh?
I like the Morel one more than the Fraley one, the plus money one, but they're both decent. Top of the order bats, should be able to get on base at least once, I'd imagine.
Over on DFS, a couple names I just pulled from the FanDuel marker. If you're looking for pitching, Adrian Sampson is 7.5 today, which I thought was interesting. Charlie Morton 9.2, and Luis Castillo, I'm imagining, is going to be chalk, is 9.7, with some implied run totals with Colorado, Atlanta, and New York all projected over 5 total runs. What do you like on DFS today, whether it's lineup stacking or pitchers?
Love Luis Castillo. Should be very chalky, as you mentioned. Wainwright's a good pivot, and so is nasty Nestor Cortez against a Pirates team that cannot hit a left-handed pitcher to save their life. And the one I'll ask you about again, I asked you last time at 4K, Dre Jameson dealt for us against the Dodgers tonight at 61. I'm still kind of tempted, but it's scary with the Dodgers.
Pass.
Yeah, it's scary. But I love the Atlanta one. Like you mentioned, that game, that's a good one. You got Coors Field obviously in play, which is phenomenal. And then a couple of, I think Seattle versus Oakland. JP Sears, decent pedigree in the minors, a lot of pitch to contact since he's been called up. So I think Seattle, they like hitting lefties. That could be a fun one.
Yeah, and I was looking at, I wanted to actually go Julio, but I just don't know his status for today. I didn't see it, so I couldn't do that with any contest stuff, but that's some pretty good looks, which takes us to the home run contest. Like I said, I was thinking about going Julio, and I wish I kind of could, but there's just no guarantee with it, and I don't want to chase it with everything going on. So I am going with Eloy Jimenez for my home run call today. Wonky has got Thairo Estrada, who we gave a whole lot of talk to. Bubba, did your quote tweet of the episode today give us a little hint on who's going to go?
Oh yeah, I know we went deep yesterday, but Patrick Corbin's pitching, folks. We know what happens there. Give me some Austin Riley going to Ding Dong City. He's going to take the Braves are going to crush Patrick Corbin. So I expect Riley to do his damage in a big way.
Ding Dong City will always make me laugh. I'm a child at heart. I'm wearing a light blue hat with my hair out, and I'm not young enough to be doing it. So I'm a child at heart.
You need the blonde tip coming out the front. That'd be even better.
I had that. Do you know when I was like,
I believe it. We're the same age. I had those when I had hair. I got it.
Mid 90s. In the mid 90s, like my high school years were like 97, I think 97 to 90. No, I was 98 through 2001. I 100%. I did 2 things. I had frosted tips. The whole thing. But then I went a step further, and I had, you'd be amazed at it. By the way, I was a lot skinnier too. I had full bleach blonde hair, and I hung out with some, some kind of nutty people. And I remember going out, and one of these dudes is like, that's David Flair. Woo! He called me David Flair with the blonde hair, and I was David Flair for a little bit, and then
we need pictures or it didn't happen. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, blonde tips, pretty good look. Maybe that'll be something we do. Bachman and I have a show we do on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/inthisleague. And Wednesdays we have a wheel show. Maybe that should go on it. Frosting the tips, which was a whole thing, which was a whole process. Probably horrific for all of our health. And whatever it is. So, all right, friends, that's it. I know you cared about all of that stuff. Yeah, Don. Oh, there's my boy Donnie is saying boy band Welsh. Yeah, it was definitely something. Friends, hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Hopefully we helped you in this little process. Bubba, what do you got going on this week? You got Bench with Bubba on Thursday?
Tuesday and Thursday? Or it's Tuesday, Wednesday this week. We're doing Tuesday, Wednesday this week. I got MLB DFS Quick Hits Monday through Friday. Couple articles left to right as the season's winding down, but pretty much Bench with Bubba's the go-to, and I'll see you guys again next week.
Perfect. ITL podcast, ITL baseball podcast. We got a little bit more this week, and Prospect One as we are getting into AFL and ending the minor league season. All right, friends, what's tomorrow? It's a wonky Wednesday. That's right. We got a wonky Wednesday, which means we're going to have a home run bonus. Kelly's going to be in here, so I've got a friend on my side about perfect. Hopefully, there's another guy that's pulled on a perfect game.
Hopefully, it's Dre Jameson. Give me Dre Jameson just to mess with the whole thing. Just blow it all up.
But I'll have someone on my side when Kelly is here. So it's Wonky Wednesday. Thank you guys for hanging out with us in the live stream as always and hanging on the podcast. That's Bubba. I'm Welsh. We are out of here. Oh, yes. Thank you, Wonky. I almost completely forgot about it. We're going an hour early tomorrow. An hour early for the live stream for anybody that cares. Back to that 12 p.m. Eastern time slot. This is for me. Thank you. My son won Student of the Year award for his school, or Student of the Month for his school, and I want to be there. So we're going an hour early, and we will be 12 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. Friends, have a great one. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace out. Bye-bye.